him to be a little bit more consistent, and what have you seen from him?
So we're pretty blatantly honest in our room. It's the only way you're going to get better. You have to have thick skin. You got to be humble, and that includes me. I had 2 mistakes out there today. I've got a play written down here today that I called that just was really stupid, right? And I put Braden Locke in a bad spot. And what we got to do every day in practice is find the mistakes that we have, make sure they're not repetitive mistakes. And for Miles, it's been a little bit of inconsistency because he's smart. He knows the offense. He knows how to make the right decisions. Now every hitch that we throw has to look the same. Every post that we throw, it should look fairly regimented. And that's what he's working on right now. And that's probably the obstacle he's trying to get over on the field when he's out there practice.
Coach, what have you learned from this team in the last couple of weeks, and what do you hope to see from them before the season starts?
What I've learned from them is they have done I said at the end of the spring that what's really exciting about the first year anywhere is if the guys work hard and they put the time in and they prepare between spring ball and August, there's usually a very drastic difference. They get the foundation from a technique standpoint and a mental standpoint. And then they know their craft, and they got to go to work and really work on getting better at all those things in the summer. And we can't be out there with them very often, so this is on them for the most part. And I know that this group is really, really hard work. This group is committed. And so I was really excited to see them in August because I thought there'd be some considerable improvement. And we're light years ahead of where we are where we were in the spring. And we're probably as far along right now in our first August camp as we have been anywhere. And I felt that way in the spring, but I feel better right now. There's a lot more continuity here in August than there was in the spring.
So you've seen Braden kind of go through some ups and downs his first couple of weeks of training camp. What do you think he's done maybe away from the field to work through some of those things that we don't get to see?
So I would say that I'm hard on Braden. Braden is super intelligent, knows the offense as well as anybody. And so we do some progressive things with him. It's kind of like, it's one thing to make a mistake in an addition class. It's another thing to make a mistake and turn it on. And that's kind of where he is. So the things that he does, it's advanced, it's down the road, it's more progressive, and then we're challenging him every day. And he answers the call most of the time. And his mistakes are not the simple things. His mistakes are some of the more progressive things that we're trying to do. So very happy with him mentally. I just got to get him to set his feet a little bit, and he is also, I think, much more prepared right now as our chief quarterback than he was in the springtime.
There's a lot of excitement for the new look offense. How do you make sure that the guys stay maintained and staying level-headed and how to handle the pressure coming into a season like this?
Our motto is don't blink. We say don't blink because we want to have a short memory. Got to play fast. We want to play instinctive. And we got to have a short memory. And so if there's a bad play, we need to wrap it up and move on. And the best way to erase a bad one is to execute on the next one, right? And so, and then we don't want to spend a lot of time celebrating. When you get the end zone, you want to act like you've been there. And so this team right now, the biggest challenge is to work through the endurance barrier, right? And then the other thing is just to understand that every play is its own world, and we need to focus in on the next one as soon as the last one's over, good or bad. And I think we're trying to do that as a full offensive unit right now.
This offense has obviously moved away from the traditional fullback that they've had, and a lot more versatile. But what's your perspective on the place of the fullback in modern football?
We've really just replaced a fullback with a hybrid tight end. I mean, the tight end's doing that job. He's the lead blocker, he's a pass protector, he's a leak out route guy in the pass game. He's doing all that stuff, which I think just that hybrid tight end spot in this offense is a little bit more diverse. There's more diversity at the position. We're asking him to do more. We're actually demanding more of that type of tight end than we are a true fullback because we're not going to be in those traditional 21 personnel sets. We want to be able to get in an 11 or a 10 picture with that same guy. And I think we have some pretty good guys at that position. So I'm actually excited about our tight end.
So during the open practices that we were able to see, we saw Braden get reps with the twos, but also saw Miles here. But I guess now that things are closed, are you seeing those two, or are you seeing Nick also get some reps within the second team, or is it still, or how's the?
We're still working threes, so when we do get threes, I'm able to work a couple of the guys that are pushing for that 3 spot, Nick and Miles. Occasionally, just just because we can do a little more with the second offensive line than we can with the third offensive line, I will get Miles and Nick in there to call some things so we can execute some things with maybe some more solid blocking up front. It's just that we're a little bit more diverse playlist-wise with the twos, and this just gives me an opportunity to evaluate them at slightly higher level than maybe the playlist we're utilizing for the threes at the moment.
You guys got to scrimmage a little bit today. How would you evaluate how the offense did today?
So scrimmages are interesting. You know, we get down to like the 17 and we want to finish it, and it's play 10 and we're done. And we decided we're going to go 8 to 10 plays, and then we roll it back and throw the twos out there. So the guys are, hey, but what we want to do is get the work in. You know, Coach Fick has, he's got an agenda. What do we need to accomplish today? And so we're rolling through that, and that's why he handles it. Because if I was out there, I'd want to complete the drive, right? And that may not necessarily be the work that we want to get today. So he's out there managing all that. He's got the big picture, and when he says it's done, boom, we roll it back. We go with the twos, and he puts us in all the situations. And sometimes even in practice, you don't know necessarily what situation he's going to put you in. And he's challenging the staff as much as he's challenging the players. So if he calls out a situation we're not expecting, I still need to be able to go to that play route. I still need to be able to call the plays in that situation, and our guys need to execute, under duress. And I think it's been great for us from a preparation standpoint and getting ready for the opening game against Buffalo.
As far as the wide receivers go, how would you describe sort of the freedom that they're given to improvise within them at two and then work?
So the receivers and the freedom we give them, I would say, is we kind of went through the same process that occurs everywhere, and that is you teach it and you provide it and you allow them, you tell them they're privy to maybe having a little bit more flexibility than they're used to having in the offense, and they don't believe it. They've been hammered on running a route a certain way or doing something a certain way, and so they really just fall back on what they always do, and that is, I'm going to run the route this way. And it has taken a little while, as it always does in the spring. And right around like practices 8 through 12, they start realizing, hey, you know what, I can bend this, I can pull this up, I can drop this out, I can tempo down, I can adjust this, I can win inside instead of outside. And just as they start getting used to that, boom, spring's over, right? And so that's why the summer work is important. The flexibility now that they're utilizing out here in August is much different, and so you could draw the same play up 10 times, it might look like 5 different things.
Coach Fickle said this last phase was about worrying about more of the mental side and one-on-ones, and now transitioning into more ones-on-twos and things like that. What are you focusing on in this next phase of camp?
This is, I hate to use the word polish, but we want to continue to be physical. We want to continue to play fast. But this is about, now we're going to start focusing in on, the first third of the season. We'll start preparing for the things that we feel like we're going to see, right? And we start tightening up the depth chart in terms of, right now we feel like we can roll through 7 or 8 offensive linemen, definitely 7 right now. We're going to use 3 backs. We're going to use 3 tight ends. We're going to use 6 wide receivers. So there might be that one position in each room, the 5th or the 6th receiver that we're trying to decide, is he in the loop, is he out of the loop? And you identify that for each of those players. And it's good to watch them. How do they respond? Do they grab the bull by the horns and they up their game and get themselves in the loop and in the rotation, or are they just not ready yet? And that's kind of where we're about to go here in camp and on offense.
In your conversations with Tanner at this point, he's obviously got a tremendous amount of experience, has played in offenses similar to this, but what are you talking to him about the areas you need to see for growth or for him to be as consistent and successful in this offense in this one season?
Well, with Tanner, the good thing is it's little things. Today was an outstanding decision-making day for him, in all facets. And I think we're getting really close to where we want our starting quarterback to be from a mental standpoint. And we're also now, and the quarterbacks know this, but we're also about ready to scale it down. So we have been putting in and working on the entire offense, right? We're pulling from an entire play sheet. Well, today, that's what I used, right? That was it. And so it was a much smaller focus, and it was things that we wanted to try to accomplish today. And that's what a game plan will be like. It'll be smaller. And so we'll get more reps at fewer plays, and hopefully we're able to do that without any missed assignments. Today with the ones offensively, I was very happy. I don't know that offhand if I remember an MA with the one offense.
You talked about using 3 running backs as Jackson or Cade separated themselves more?
You know, both of them have excelled at different areas. So Tanner right now is our one. Braden is there at 2, and then in the running back room it's the same. You know, we've got like 1A and 1B in the running back room. It's going to be Caleb and then Ches, and we're trying to find that 3. And what's really happened is Yak does some really good things, and Jackson does some really good things. And so it may be 3 by committee right now regarding what do we need at that point in time. Somebody may be out there on base downs more than the other, who might be out there in short yardage and goal line. We'll see how that transpires as camp finishes up.
So we've seen you be kind of a lone signaler in terms of the plays from you the quarterback. What do you like about that system? I think that's the best way to go about it.
If something communication-wise goes wrong, then I know who to blame. You know, and you cut out the middleman. The fewer people that are involved in that process, I think the fewer amount of mistakes that can be made. Plus, if I make a mistake, I can always cut it and then fix it. You know, and it's hard to do that when you're in the booth. I'm not as bright as those guys, so I put the smarter guys up in the booth and they tell me what they see, and then I call it from the field, and it's based on, it is definitely a team effort during the game, and that's why we wear phones in practice, because now we've gone through that routine for 15 practices in spring, and the 10 that we have here, so we've done this 25 times. By the time we get to Buffalo, the communication on the phones and to the players will, you know, it'll be old hat by that time.
One more for Coach
So
Longo.
with-
You always done it that way, or like you see some teams use like pictures and stuff on the sidelines. Have you just always been a hand signal guy that you want to?
There's not a lot of time during the week to work, and I don't want to waste our time building billboards. I don't want to waste our time making wristbands, and I don't want to waste our time with guys being involved in all that stuff when I can simply do it. Now I've got to do it a certain way so that we don't get picked off, but the kids can look at me, they got my body language, they have my gestures. You know, there's probably 5 or 8 signals I use just for the quarterbacks after the play is over, so we can talk without even verbalizing anything. You just have so much better, quicker, more effective interaction with your team, even on the sideline, between drives when you're on the sideline. So I will forever be on the sideline as long as that's my decision.